In modern dating, men often struggle to balance emotional control and meeting a woman's needs. When you distance yourself, even for healthy reasons, it can trigger insecurity and desperation in her. It's not neglect, but creating space can stir unexpected emotions. Today, I'll explain why this happens and how to handle it with wisdom and emotional intelligence. This isn't about manipulation, but building respectful, balanced relationships. Subscribe to Love Diaries for more relationship insights, and let's dive in. When you distance yourself in a relationship, it doesn't necessarily mean you've lost interest. Often, it's a response to the overwhelming demands of modern life, or simply a need for emotional retreat to recharge and maintain your sense of self. However, this distance can trigger emotional reactions from the women you date that might not align with your intentions. The root of this emotional response lies in both evolutionary psychology and the societal expectations placed on women. Throughout history, women have been conditioned to seek emotional connection, stability, and reassurance. In ancient times, emotional bonds within families were vital for survival. When those bonds were threatened, it created uncertainty, triggering anxiety and fear. This evolutionary instinct still runs deep in modern relationships, often manifesting as insecurity tied to a woman's sense of worth and emotional security within the relationship. It's crucial to understand that this emotional response isn't an indication of manipulation or irrational behavior. It's simply human nature. Our evolutionary history continues to shape the way we relate emotionally. The key here is to recognize and accept that response without succumbing to it or trying to suppress it. When a woman becomes anxious or desperate due to your distance, the challenge lies in maintaining control over your emotions while staying true to your own needs. It's not about playing games or being cold, but about finding the balance between giving her the emotional space you need and being strong enough to set that boundary respectfully. By setting healthy boundaries, you aren't abandoning the relationship. In fact, you are nurturing it through strength and stability. Relationships thrive when both partners respect each other's emotional needs and maintain their individual sense of self. Distance doesn't mean detachment, it's a way to foster emotional growth and maintain balance. So, instead of fighting her emotional reaction or letting it dictate your behavior, stay grounded in your own needs and communicate them with strength and clarity. You'll be surprised how this emotional maturity fosters deeper trust and stability in the long run. There's a fine line between emotional detachment and emotional neglect, and understanding this distinction is crucial. In today's world, many men are taught to suppress their emotions, particularly in romantic relationships. The traditional notion of masculinity often revolves around being stoic, reserved, and unaffected by emotional turmoil. However, while emotional control is important, suppressing emotions can lead to problems. When you distance yourself for too long, especially when your partner has emotional needs, you may unintentionally cross into neglect. That's where the trouble starts. Emotional neglect can leave her feeling rejected, unwanted, and uncertain about the future of your relationship. When you withdraw emotionally without offering reassurance, she may begin to feel like she's no longer a priority. This can cause her to react by becoming desperate for validation, or in some cases, withdrawing herself as a form of self-protection. So, how do you navigate this delicate balance? The answer lies in emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence isn't about suppressing your feelings. It's about recognizing when emotional distance is necessary and communicating that effectively. It's about understanding that both partners need space to feel secure and respected. By clearly expressing your own emotional needs, you avoid the trap of neglect while maintaining the personal space you need to stay emotionally balanced. You can't offer reassurance if you're not comfortable expressing your own emotions. That's where clarity becomes essential. Setting boundaries doesn't mean closing off or becoming distant. It means clearly communicating what you need while ensuring that your partner knows they are valued and important to you. By striking the right balance between emotional availability and personal space, you create an environment where both partners feel respected and understood. When this balance is achieved, it fosters a healthy dynamic in which both individuals can grow emotionally while maintaining their individuality. It's about building a foundation of trust where both partners know that they can rely on each other, not just for emotional connection, but for understanding and respect as well. By using emotional intelligence wisely, you avoid crossing into neglect, and instead, you strengthen the relationship through clear communication and mutual respect. The fear of abandonment is something many women carry, often shaped by past experiences or societal expectations. This fear can trigger anxiety when you distance yourself, even if it's for healthy personal reasons. It's essential to recognize that this fear is not necessarily about you, but rather about her internal insecurities and how she processes emotions in the absence of reassurance. Her reaction may not reflect your actions, but a deeper emotional need for validation and security. So, how do you manage this situation with wisdom and strength? One of the core principles of Stoicism is to focus on what is within our control and accept what is not. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reminded himself to focus on his own actions and responses, not on the external circumstances or others' behaviors. This principle is crucial in relationships. When a woman becomes anxious or desperate because of emotional distance, your task isn't to manage her emotions, but to manage your own. You cannot control how she reacts, but you can control how you respond. By staying calm, focused, and clear about your intentions, you foster trust and emotional stability in the relationship. Instead of reacting impulsively to her distress, you create an environment where both partners can feel secure, even when there's space between them. It's easy to get caught up in someone else's emotional turmoil, especially when you care deeply. The desire to fix her anxiety or to soothe her fear can become overwhelming. However, your role as a man in the relationship is to provide emotional stability, not to add to the emotional chaos. This doesn't mean ignoring her feelings, it means staying grounded in your own emotions and maintaining your boundaries with respect. Remember, your emotional stability is the foundation on which the relationship rests. By not allowing her fear or desperation to dictate your behavior, you demonstrate emotional wisdom. This allows both of you to navigate the complexities of your relationship with maturity and balance. In these moments, your emotional control becomes your greatest strength, and it helps cultivate the trust and understanding that are vital for any lasting connection. Emotional control is the foundation of personal power. In today's world, many men struggle with the urge to meet their partner's emotional needs when they become intense or desperate. It may feel like the right thing to do in the moment, but giving in to this temptation often leads to an unhealthy power dynamic in the relationship. When one person becomes emotionally dependent on the other, it creates an imbalance that robs both individuals of their autonomy and personal strength. This is where the wisdom of Stoicism becomes invaluable. Epictetus, one of the most prominent Stoic philosophers, taught that true personal power comes from self-control and not allowing external events to disturb your inner peace. When your partner becomes desperate due to emotional distance, it's important to remember that her emotions are hers to manage, just as your emotions are yours to manage. You cannot control how she feels, but you can control your response to it. When you don't react impulsively to her distress, you show emotional strength and maturity. You demonstrate that you are capable of handling the complexities of the relationship without losing yourself in it. In these moments, it's crucial to resist the temptation to sacrifice your emotional needs in an effort to make her feel secure. You don't need to abandon your own sense of self to comfort her. Instead, you must have the courage to communicate your need for space without causing emotional harm. Expressing your needs clearly and respectfully shows that you respect both yourself and her, and that you are not afraid to maintain healthy boundaries. When both partners can maintain their autonomy and self-respect, it creates a much stronger foundation for the relationship. Emotional dependence on either side only weakens the bond. However, when both individuals can express their needs and handle their emotions independently, the relationship flourishes. Emotional strength is not about being cold or detached. It's about being secure in who you are and not allowing external pressures to dictate your emotional state. By staying grounded in your emotional wisdom and maintaining balance, you cultivate a healthier relationship built on mutual respect and personal power. This is the ultimate way to build a lasting, fulfilling connection where both partners can thrive. There's an old saying that goes, "The more you chase, the more you push her away." It's not just a catchy phrase, it's a deep psychological truth about human attraction. When a man becomes too available, constantly seeking to fulfill every emotional need of the woman, it creates an imbalance. The moment you lose sight of your own purpose and become consumed by the desire to appease her, you start to lose your identity. This behavior, even if well-intentioned, creates a sense of desperation that's palpable. The woman may start to lose attraction to you because, on some level, she perceives you as weak or lacking in direction. To be clear, this doesn't mean you should ignore her emotional needs or become emotionally unavailable. It's about maintaining a balance, ensuring that you remain present in the relationship without sacrificing your sense of self or your ambitions. When you make her emotional needs your sole focus, you risk losing sight of your own goals and purpose, which ultimately diminishes your attraction to her. The key is to strike a balance where you care for her needs while also nurturing your personal growth and purpose. This dynamic, when handled correctly, actually makes you more attractive. Women are naturally drawn to men who are self-assured, who have their own lives, ambitions, and a strong sense of purpose. A man who isn't dependent on external validation to feel worthy or secure carries an intrinsic strength that is magnetic. Your own sense of purpose, separate from the relationship, not only enhances your personal growth, but also increases your attractiveness. You become someone who isn't just fulfilling her needs, but also living a rich, full life that she admires. This is where the concept of detachment comes into play. However, detachment isn't about emotionally withdrawing or distancing yourself in a cold, harsh way. It's about detaching from the need to constantly prove yourself through emotional availability. You can still be emotionally connected and supportive, but you must also recognize that your value doesn't depend on your constant availability or on pleasing her at every turn. When you focus on your own growth and purpose, you maintain your emotional independence, which leads to a healthier, more balanced relationship. One of the most vital aspects of masculinity is emotional resilience. Life, and especially relationships, can be unpredictable. Women, like men, go through phases of emotional distress, confusion, or anxiety. During these times, it's essential for you as a man to remain emotionally resilient. This doesn't mean being cold or indifferent to her feelings, but rather having the emotional strength to support her without losing your own balance. Emotional resilience is rooted in knowing who you are, understanding your values, and having the inner strength to stay steady in the face of external turbulence. Seneca, one of the Stoic philosophers, wrote extensively about the importance of resilience when facing life's challenges. In his letters, he reminds us that a wise person doesn't react impulsively to hardships, but instead approaches difficulties with a calm, measured response. This principle is incredibly relevant in relationships. When your partner becomes desperate because of emotional distance, your role is not to react emotionally, but to remain steady, confident in your emotions, and provide guidance without becoming overwhelmed by her emotional state. Emotional resilience means maintaining your composure in challenging situations. It's about not allowing external chaos, whether it's her emotional distress or any other external factor, to disturb your inner peace. This steady presence is not only a form of support, but also a display of strength, maturity, and wisdom. When you remain grounded, even when emotions run high, you show that you are capable of navigating the complexities of the relationship without losing yourself in it. By practicing emotional resilience, you create a space in the relationship where both partners can express themselves freely without fear of being overpowered by each other's emotions. This balance allows for healthy emotional exchanges and ensures that you both maintain a sense of stability and control. It fosters trust and respect, which are essential for any lasting relationship. In these moments, your resilience will not only strengthen the relationship, but will also deepen your connection, as your partner will feel safe, knowing that you can remain steady, even in the most trying of times. This resilience, when practiced consistently, is a cornerstone of emotional maturity, making it an essential trait for a man who wants to build a lasting, meaningful relationship. The core message here is about balance. In a healthy relationship, both partners need to recognize the importance of giving each other the space to grow, while also offering support when necessary. When you distance yourself, it's essential to communicate that you're not abandoning the relationship, but simply taking time for yourself to recharge and maintain your sense of self. This is a vital step in modeling emotional self-respect and establishing a foundation of mutual respect within the relationship. By setting clear boundaries and expressing your need for space, you show that you're grounded in your own emotional wisdom. You are demonstrating that your emotional well-being is important, and you are taking the time necessary to ensure that you remain whole and balanced. This doesn't mean being emotionally distant or cold. It means understanding that personal growth and self-care are key to a strong, healthy connection. Men who master the balance of emotional control, wisdom, and strength are always more likely to feel secure in themselves, and this self-assurance creates the foundation for a lasting relationship. When you can balance emotional availability with the necessary space to grow, you show maturity and emotional intelligence. This is what makes you a better partner, one who brings stability, clarity, and strength to the relationship. So remember, don't let emotional desperation, whether it's your own or hers, take control of the relationship. Don't allow anxiety or fear to dominate the narrative. Instead, stay grounded, stay wise, and most importantly, stay true to your sense of self. Your emotional control and wisdom will provide the strength necessary to weather the challenges that come your way. This is what will allow the relationship to flourish, not just survive. In the end, it's not about avoiding emotional complexity, but managing it with strength and emotional maturity. Relationships thrive on trust, respect, and mutual growth. By maintaining a healthy balance between emotional connection and personal independence, you create an environment where both partners can thrive individually and as a couple. As always, stay strong, stay wise, and most importantly, stay true to yourself. For more relationship insights like this, make sure to subscribe to Love Diaries.